Maya was a collector, not of typical things like coins or stamps, but of Barbie dolls. Her shelves brimmed with pristine boxes of every edition imaginable, from vintage classics to modern-day collaborations. Each doll had a story, a piece of history, and a place in her heart. One warm Saturday morning, as she strolled through a bustling yard sale, her eyes landed on a Barbie unlike any she had ever seen before. It wasn't in a box, but sat displayed on a worn wooden table. The doll wore a pink and white striped swimsuit paired with a floppy sun hat and sandals. Her hair was sun-bleached blonde, her features eerily lifelike. But what caught Maya's attention most were the doll's eyes, glass-like and shimmering in a way that seemed to follow her every movement. The woman selling it was frail and hunched over, her wrinkled hands trembling as she picked up the doll. Her voice was raspy as she spoke, almost like a whisper. "This one's special, but there's a catch. She doesn't like water. Keep her far from it." Maya chuckled nervously and handed over the money. "It's a doll," she thought. What harm could it do? That evening, Maya placed the new Barbie on her dresser, positioning it perfectly between her vintage collection and her modern pieces. The moonlight filtered through her curtains, casting soft shadows across the room. For a moment, the Barbie's glassy eyes seemed to glint, almost as if winking at her. Shrugging it off as a trick of the light, Maya settled into bed. Her dreams that night were vivid, filled with crashing waves and the salty tang of sea air. In her dream, she stood on a beach under a pale moon, the ocean stretching endlessly before her. A soft giggle echoed behind her, and when she turned, she saw the Barbie standing upright on the sand, its tiny hand outstretched toward her. Maya woke with a start, her heart pounding. The room was silent, save for the faint sound of dripping water. Confused, she checked the bathroom, but the taps were dry. As she turned back to her bed, her gaze fell on the Barbie. Its swimsuit appeared damp, tiny droplets clinging to the fabric. Over the next few days, odd occurrences became more frequent. The Barbie wouldn't stay in one place. Maya would leave it on her dresser only to find it on her coffee table or perched on her windowsill. One morning, she found it standing by the sink, its tiny feet soaked in water. Each night, her dreams grew more unsettling. She was always on the beach, the Barbie watching her from a distance, its eyes glimmering with an unnatural light. The whispers began soon after, faint and indecipherable at first, but growing louder with each passing night. They echoed her name, luring her to the ocean. Her friends noticed her growing paranoia. "You're probably just stressed," they said, laughing it off. But Maya knew something wasn't right. One weekend, she and her friends decided to visit the beach. Maya hesitated but brought the Barbie along, thinking it might help dispel the unease she felt about the doll. The moment they arrived, the whispers grew deafening. Maya clutched the Barbie tightly, her hands trembling as the waves seemed to pull back unnaturally far before crashing harder than ever. The giggle from her dreams echoed again, faint but clear. Her friends didn't seem to hear it, but Maya felt the chill run down her spine. That night, Maya placed the Barbie in her car trunk, hoping to distance herself from its presence. Back home, she tried to sleep, but the whispers followed her. The sound of crashing waves and distant laughter grew louder, filling her room with an oppressive atmosphere. When she finally mustered the courage to check the trunk the next morning, the Barbie wasn't there. Panicked, she searched her house, only to find it sitting upright on her bed, its tiny hands clutching a wet seashell. The whispers turned into voices, clear and insistent. They spoke of Lila, a young girl who had drowned at the beach decades ago. Lila was playing by the water with her favorite doll when a rogue wave swept her away. Her body was never found, and locals whispered of her spirit lingering by the shore, seeking something or someone to take her place. Desperate for answers, Maya turned to the internet, scouring forums and articles about haunted dolls and cursed objects. She found countless stories about dolls imbued with spirits, but one story stood out. It detailed the legend of a drowned girl and a cursed Barbie that had been passed down through generations. The doll was said to be a vessel for the girl's restless soul, drawing its owners to the sea. Maya tried to rid herself of the Barbie, but no matter where she left it, the doll always returned. She buried it in her backyard, only to find it sitting on her porch the next morning. She threw it in the trash, but it reappeared on her dresser, its eyes glinting with malice. The whispers became screams, urging her to return to the beach. Maya's dreams were now nightmares, filled with icy water and the suffocating pull of the ocean. One night, unable to resist any longer, she grabbed the doll and drove to the beach. The moon was full, casting an eerie glow over the shore. The waves seemed alive, writhing and churning as if anticipating her arrival. Maya stepped onto the sand, the Barbie clutched tightly in her hand. The whispers stopped, replaced by a deafening silence. The ocean began to recede, revealing a dark, endless trench. From its depths, a figure emerged. A young girl with hollow eyes and seaweed tangled in her hair. Her gaze locked onto Maya, and her lips twisted into a haunting smile. Maya felt herself being pulled forward, her feet sinking into the wet sand. The Barbie grew impossibly heavy in her hands, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. The last thing she heard before the darkness consumed her was the girl's voice, soft and mournful, thanking her for coming home. Weeks later, the Barbie appeared at another yard sale, pristine and inviting. A little boy picked it up, admiring its lifelike features. The elderly seller hesitated, her voice trembling as she whispered, "Be careful with her. She doesn't belong anywhere near water."